So, Peter, could you tell that when you'd left a capitalist country and entered a communist country, could you tell the difference if you were going?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think we went into Austria at Vienna, and the chart books of the canals and rivers were printed in Austria, Vienna, and we had this old set, and went in there to see if they got amended sheets, you know, things changed, because I think they were like 15 years old, 20 years old, these book charts of the rivers and that, and the guy looked and smiled at us and said, no, since it's the Russians and the communist countries, nobody's allowed to go down there and do any sounding, so can't help you. And so we said, okay. So once we left Austria and headed down, and we was in Hungary, and let me backtrack. First we hit Czechoslovakia, Bratislava, and we were looking for the harbour to go into, a little harbour on the Danube there, and this gunboat came out, Czechoslovakian, and shouted out to us in good English, you must follow us. You were in Czechoslovakian waters of the Danube, so we followed him into the harbour, and again that was a military base there, and the official was waiting for us with his two young army kids in
more
machine guns, and
yes.
That was the only country in going for all the consuls and embassies that we needed a visa for. And we got the visas, I showed him, and he said just the captain come ashore, and there was 4 of us on the boat. So bring your passports, everything. So
you were the captain, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the one who had to do all the convincing. And he looked at the passport, said something to this other civilian with him, and he opened the passports, and the other chap had a little tattoo case. He opened it up, and it was just full of rubber stamps, and said something to him, gave him a rubber stamp, and he opened up our passports and stamped them for, oh good, we're all right. He gave them back and he says, you go. I said, go where? You know, he says, go, you must leave. I said, no, you know, we've got visas. You go. And then he said something, and these 2 kids unslung them machine guns off their shoulders. Oh, okay, we're going. So we sailed across to Hungary, the Danube, and their officials were waiting there, all smiling and laughing, and said, you got thrown out to Czechoslovakia. I said, yeah. So he says, tie up, come into the office. They were very welcome. Then he turned around and he said, take down that flag, put up the Hungarian flag, because going to a foreign country, you put their flag up for courtesy.
Yeah.
So we went in there, and another good thing, they had a big picture of the Hungarian soccer team on the wall, and being an old soccer fan, I recognised their very famous player, Puskás. And I said, oh, Mr. Puskás. Well, that broke the ice.
Yes.
And of course then they rubbed it in and said, remember when we beat England, the first foreign team? I said, yes, I remember that, 5-1. And that's when we noticed the big difference, I think, in communist countries. Out of all them communist Iron Curtain countries, Hungary was probably the most westernised one of the lot. Plenty of food, entertainment, bars, hotels. But when you got down into Romania and Bulgaria, I think they were the two poorest countries. Romania was really, I suppose, under the thumb. We'd tie up at night and walk down the little town, go and have a beer or something, and suddenly all the lights go off. And talking to the waiter with our Romanian English dictionaries. Anyway, he said that happens every night because the grid is shut down and the electricity then goes north to Russia. So it was quite an eye-opener. And any of their market, Bulgaria and Romania, like, with the stalls market,
Yes.
and every store, if you say there was probably about 25 to 30 stalls, they all had the same thing. Green peppers and tomatoes.
Yeah.
And you wonder, how can they all make a living? Because they're all selling the same thing,
Right. Yeah.
And then in Bulgaria was bad. We went looking for some bread and milk. And this went to the police station and talking to them and told us to go up to this hotel. And he says, you'll see people, but you show your passport and you just go straight in front. I thought, well, we get up there and there's these people with bottles and jugs. I thought, well, we ain't going to jump to the front of the queue,
Yeah.
So we waited in line with them, and I suppose we were about 6 from the people who were serving this milk out into their jugs and that, and they ran out. And he gave us, the hotel guy, ripped into us for not coming straight in front. So, big deal, we went without milk,
Yeah.
But I think they were the two real poor countries, and you could see they were really living hard,
Yes. Yeah.
And of course all these routes, because I say they could only go as far as Regensburg, Nuremberg, because it wasn't opened up yet, but it was all barge traffic, which they still have today, and that's a lot of the industry is carried by barges. And
So, Peter, I would imagine if you went by highway through Europe, you would see it would be much more contemporary and modern. And barges is like seeing kind of the underbelly or the underside of Europe.
yes, but we were still hitting big towns, like Bratislava, Czechoslovakia, and Hungary, and Yugoslavia, Belgrade. So it was still big cities, but it was, you could see it, even the outdoor cafes, that there was no sort of fancy pastries on any of the tables. It was just a small cup of coffee they're drinking,
Yeah, right.
But in Yugoslavia, when we're looking for somewhere to tie up, this huge working barge with a small crane on it waved to us, and we tied up to them. And the captain there was very good English, and he said, yes, tie up here. And we used to sit there at night talking. Carried California wine, so of course we give them a couple of bottles, and that was still in '86, and one of the things that came back to haunt us, he was saying then, there's going to be a big revolution here. And sure enough, it did come off, as we all know, in Yugoslavia. But they were getting very discontent then.